It's definitely been some big shifts. The eclipse energy is definitely here and moving in on us, and it's causing a toll. We've felt it here on our end, and talking to some of the viewers and just talking to friends and family in general, we've all been feeling it. So don't feel like you're alone if you're having it. Like I said, it's a very fluctuant feeling. You could be super happy and then super sad, and it seems like the end of the world is coming. But it's just that there's so many things shifting. Um, that being said, this week we're drifting into the quarter moon phase, which will be exact on Friday when the sun is in Pisces and the squares with the moon in Sagittarius. The last quarter moon phase points to some sort of crisis consciousness. Um, After coming to a full awareness of the current situations during the full moon last week, we're now just at a point where we are able to disperse the knowledge and come to a stage where we need to sort out what works for us, which is pretty much exactly what the card reading was telling us for this week. What works and what doesn't in preparation for the next week's new moon in the new chapter when we have the eclipse happening. That being said, this is now not the best time for a major project to be started. Decreasing of the light's moon symbolizes a drift into unconsciousness and change. It's time to begin finishing up details of that which you started last week during the full moon. Let's see here. What revelations did you have last week? What did they mean for you? And what can be done now? Those are just a few things to consider as you work through your shadows of the upcoming week. The sun being in Pisces also has us a bit less active and more motivated by other instincts. You may be experiencing a whatever's going to happen is just going to happen kind of attitude. And this is because many of us feel helpless. As the new moon approaches and our shadow selves seem to be rearing their ugly heads, we do feel slightly helpless as we have to start a new chapter. Those things have to happen, and that's important. But know that the sun is going to shine. And though Pisces is ruled by empathy, the feeling of selfless love and devotion feeds us wisdom in the end. It's the shadow side that is also ruled by self-pity and a feeling of being the victim. But really, we're not. We're all here to learn those lessons. And Mercury is still in Aquarius, but drifting into Pisces, which causes us all to be hungry for knowledge. And that's why we're determined to learn and grow from all these experiences. We're really just fighting through the growth stage. And it's important to think outside the box and to be conscious at who and how we're communicating with each other. Venus and Mars are in Aries, causing some spontaneous and direct love connections for some. As the chase may seem very exciting, some of you may be feeling a little less impatient when it comes to the matters of the heart. Don't feel lonely. Just know that everyone's trying to distance themselves and become one with themselves as they enter a new chapter. There's lots of love to go around, and there's definitely something in the air with the don't look back attitude when the Aries energy comes to play with any planet. Though with this outlook, it's also giving many a boost of courageousness to move forward and with no regrets under the influence of these two planets traveling the constellation together. It could also cause some self-conflict through the transition within oneself. We can be a little distant through transitions, and big things are happening for everyone around us, and that seems to be a constant thing about this life is constant change. As we build ourselves up to handle such change, we sometimes forget the bigger picture, and we're becoming like self-protective and stiff with our actions, and midweek it's going to be pretty hard. I know it's already shifting into some rough times, but towards the end of the week, it does get a little better. It's just a time to reflect and give one another space rather than try to build strong new relationships right now or make hasty decisions. It's time to look within yourself. There's a shift happening in the grid, and that takes some alone time to completely accept the download and organize it. Where do you want to be? Also, don't forget that next week, I believe Friday, March 20th, 2015, about 5 a.m., we're going to have a lunar eclipse, and it's during the supermoon and the spring equinox.
Oh boy.
So there's a lot happening. That's why these are such strong energies. It's a time to be open to your guides and your spirits of all positive nature. Really block yourself from all the negative energies that may be trying to channel through you. Don't allow them to bring you down. Feed on the positive ones and look to that light. I know I sound like a broken record, but it's really important to just hold on to what does shine in your life. Allow the messages to flow and channel through you because there's a natural void happening. Everything's now beginning to align itself to open and shed very important information through us. Sequences of events are happening in our lives to start that new chapter. Just always have faith that it's all in divine order and things are here to shine brighter than it ever has. So just continue. Be thoughtful to everyone and everyone's dealing with such feelings of detachment, and allow that growth space and focus on your own path and allow the transition to occur so that when we're through it, we'll all thrive together. And that's all I have for my energy forecast. Just be open and know that we're all going through it.
Mm-hmm. I don't think you sound like a broken record. I think you sound pretty.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm. That was a wonderful update you had there for us. Once I get this thing working here, I'll try. There we go. That should work. This is your update for you today. And I'll start off by saying that we did have around 34 solar flares since Sunday. Excuse me, 34 coronal mass ejection solar flares since Saturday, this Saturday, March 7th.
Yes.
Yes, and a few of those, about 4 or 5 of those were M class. One of them was actually an M9, which is really close to an X class solar flare, which is one of the highest classes. Excuse me. Most of these solar flares are coming from this sunspot right here, which is sunspot 2297. As you can tell, that's a pretty big sunspot on the sun there, and it is extremely high activity this week. We've had a lot of activity. As I mentioned, there's been about 34 solar flares, and this is the major one, the big one here. And you can see this was on let's see here, 8th, 9th, 10th, and then exploded. Okay, this was actually earlier today, early Monday. If you look in the top right corner, you'll see this dot here is Earth. The yellow dot is the sun. And we did have some solar flare effect on the Earth, as you can see how this solar flare ripples out. Some of the ions did hit Earth, and there were a few blackouts in parts of the Earth. So our aura forecast, it's playing. No, it's not playing. Okay, we don't have much going on for solar wind right now. It's around 400 kilometers per second. So there hasn't been a lot of auroras going on right now. So not much going on there right now. So since that's not loading, I'll say that I'll conclude this. This is the solar flare update. Expect there to be continuous high levels of solar activity, especially with this giant sunspot 2297 Earth facing. So expect there to be more disruptions with your phones, with your electronics, and there may even be some blackouts with how high the levels are this week. So thank you all for listening to our cosmic energy forecast.